Because they're old?
Because there's mess in it.
Okay. So, now that you actually know all this stuff, you're going to have some problems. You'll notice, since when I once again get to the right assignment sheet, the one section looks like you've got a buku ton of problems. That's because they're all look at it, write an answer type thing. The first part of them are going to be like this. It wants you to just use the quadrants. Oh, duh, by the way, I did tell you the saying for the quadrants. Holy moly, we got to learn the saying. This is what I expect you all to be. Okay, if you want to remember the quadrants, you got the A, you got the S of sine, the T of tangent, and the C of cosine. You are all going to be an all-star trig class. So then you have to remember which two pair together, but that tells you that sine is going to be in the second quadrant. T tangent's going to be in the third. I use those. I will talk to you all the time about with trig, checking your positives and negatives. We look at all-star trig class constantly. I could be wealthy and retire if I had $1 for every negative sign students have forgotten because they didn't check this. It's the number one common error of trig, forgetting to watch your positives and negatives with those quadrants. Ha ha ha! You bet I can't wrong. Half put people to death. So, what I want you to do from that is I'm going to ask you, what quadrant am I in? And they're going to phrase it this way. If sine is greater than 0 and cotangent, I lost my angle, and cotangent is less than 0, what quadrant would you have to be in if both of those things are true? Until
so
you get
got to be positive and cotangent's going to be negative.
Until you get the hang of using the quadrants, I recommend you do a method of elimination. Okay, sine needs to be positive because greater than 0 is positive. What quadrants can sine be positive?
2.
Second, and it's always got 2 quadrants.
And the first.
And the first. So it can't be, we know third and fourth are out. It's got to be in first and second. So of those two, you need cotangent to be less than 0, or in other words, negative. So of those two, where would cotangent be negative? It's got to be the second one because it's positive at first. So yeah, so your answer would be quadrant 2 then. Okay, what if I said to you, tricky one? What if I ask you, where is secant less than 0 and cosecant less than 0? So since I said less than 0, I want to know in what quadrant are they both negative? Okay.
3.
So,
Well, it can't be the first one.
can't be the first because they're positive there.
So it can never be the first unless they're all greater.
Yeah, it can never be the first, but they're both positive, yeah. So it can't be the first. It can't be the fourth because secant's positive there.
And it can't be the second.
And it can't be the second because cosecant's positive there. So therefore it's got to be the third. That's all you got left. So literally just by process of elimination. You'll get very good at it very quickly. You don't have to go through all that. So you can just look at it and figure out. But knowing what quadrant you're in is important to the problems we work on. So that's what some of those, it just says do, I don't know, 17 through 22 or something. It's just naming the quadrant. That's all you're doing. Okay, so
Math is neat.
that's all you're doing with that one. Are we done now? Well, now I got to teach you how to solve some problems and then we're done. All right. So, here we go. You have the angle of your triangle. That's supposed to be passes.
I beg to differ on both of those.
Your angle passes through the point negative 4, 2.
Where is no
Find cosine of that angle. Here's where we have to actually do a little bit of actual math. To work any of these problems in trig, the answer to every problem, if you are stuck, you don't know how to work it, the answer is draw a picture of the triangle, and you can figure anything out. So if you're ever in doubt with a trig problem, draw a picture of the triangle.
Draw a picture.
Okay, so in this case, you would go, I know the angle goes through the point negative 4, 2. Where is the point negative 4, 2?
Second coordinate.
It is left 4, up 2, so it's out here somewhere. You don't have to draw on the scale. So it's out there somewhere. If I was going to draw a triangle, where would I draw the third side? Down to the x-axis. Okay, if you know the coordinate was negative 4, 2, don't you know you went left 4 and up 2?
Yes.
So you have those two sides already labeled. Okay, I want to find cosine, and we actually need these all written out here to the side so you have them to look at now. If I want to find cosine, cosine is which side over which side? Cosine is x over r. So therefore, I know I need in this picture.
It's going to be 2 over.
Yeah, that's the problem. I know x is, x is 2?
No, it's 4.
You have to find x.
Yes, x is negative 4, but I have to find r. Okay, it's a right triangle, dudes. How do you find r? Pythagorean theorem. You're going to do lots of Pythagorean theorems here. So, okay, 2 squared plus negative 4 squared is going to equal side r squared. So 4 plus, that's 4 squared is 16.
Negative 6. No, it's positive 20.
Yeah, it's positive. You have your square root of 20, which you need to break down square root of 20.
4 point something.
You don't want decimals. Break it down. You can take the 4 out, which makes it 2 square root of 5. So you're going to do r is 2 times the square root of 5. Okay. Then you're going to come over here and go, okay, I need x over r, which is 2 times the square root of 5. Okay. You can't leave the square root of 5 in the denominator, so you're going to have to rationalize. You can also do something with the 2 and the 4. What can you do with the 2 and the 4? Yeah, you reduce. The 2 goes into the 4. So now I'm down to negative 2 over the square root of 5. How do you rationalize?
Multiply by the square root of 5.
Yep, multiply by square root of 5, which is going to leave us with negative 2 square root of 5 over 5.
Yeah.
And there is my result. So the math, you will have to do Pythagorean theorems. That's the hard part of the math. Pretty much. I'm going to show you one other version of it, and that's not as complicated as it gets. Okay, so let me show you one other version. The other way they can get, you work it the same way. The other, sorry.
Don't sweat it.
Lovely. I want to remind people of Sheldon.
Sheldon Cooper? No, Sheldon Cooper.
From now on, called me.
What?
I don't know whether to wish to be like Sheldon or not. To be that brilliant would be wonderful, but to be that socially inept, not so wonderful.
But you are that socially inept.
I hope
Like,
not.
who uses inept? Is that?
That's a Sheldon Cooper word.
That's called reading a few books in my life and having a vocabulary.
Nuh-uh, you were a nerd in college, and that's what you did.
All right, let me work this one problem, and you can go do your newspapers.
Read stuff.
The trick here on this one is, that one was obvious because I gave it to you as a coordinate. You go over negative 4, up 2. You knew where to put it. Okay, this one you got to figure out what quadrant you're in using your all-star trig class quadrants. So what have I told you here about positives and negatives that will help you figure this out?
Well, tangent's got to be greater than this. It's got to be positive.
I can tell you right now.
Okay, because since tangent is greater than 0, she's right, it's got to be positive, and I told you secant is negative. So you are looking for a quadrant where tangent is positive and secant is negative.
Quadrant 2, right?
Okay, tangent's only positive in first and third, so it can't be those.
Has to be the third one.
And so where can secant be negative? It can't be the first, yes, it's got to be the third. So you're going to draw a picture in the third quadrant. When you draw your pictures, just throw an angle out in the quadrant. You don't have to draw the scale. Which way do I draw the third side? Up to the x-axis, never to the y. Now, I was a little sneakier here too. How do I get this? Here I gave you negative 4, 2. You knew 2 sides. I've given you sides there if you realize what I'm telling you.
So secant is radius over x.
Yes. Secant is r over x. So if I know secant is r over x, I can go, okay, I know then side r is 3 times the square root of 2, x is 2. Now, negatives on fractions can go with either number. So you got to look at the picture and decide which of those two numbers would actually be the one that's negative.
Well, the R can never
Right, R can never be negative, it's a radius. So it's, and 2, x is going left, we're going left here, so it's got to be on the 2.
But can we put it with a number?
No, it's got to fit the picture. No, that is inappropriate. You just, it has to fit the direction you're going. Now, you know you're going to have to do Pythagorean theorem every time, so we might as well do it. This time, I'm finding side y. Okay. Tell me correctly on my Pythagorean theorem. Do I do this number squared plus this number squared?
No.
No, thank you. I'm doing negative 2 squared plus y squared equals 3 times square root of 2 squared. Okay. All right, here's the question. I have this messed up more times than I can count. How do you square 3 square root of 2? Yes. Square them both and then multiply them. So what do you get when you square 3?
9.
What do you get when you square square root?
2. 34.
It gets rid of the root, so you just get 2. So 9 times 2 is 18. So therefore, when I solve for y now, if I subtract 4, I'm going to have 14.
Yeah, I did.
I'm going to have square root. Okay. Now, 14 doesn't break down, so we're stuck with square root of 14. Notice, you square root of both sides, it's plus or minus. You have to look at your picture. You must draw the picture on these, or I will take off points.
Yeah.
Is y going to be, is y positive or negative here?
Negative.
Y is going down. So it is negative. So that is a negative square root of 14. Now, answer the question. I wanted you to find sine. To find sine, you have to know what over what? Sine is y over r. So get side y and side r here.
Negative square root of 14.
Negative square root of 14 over
3
3 square root
square root of 2.
of 2. Okay. There's an easy way to simplify this without rationalizing. You're allowed to divide square roots. Will 2 divide into 14?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can just make that negative square root of 7 over 3, and there's your answer. Okay. Now, on your assignment sheet on these problems, it's going to say problem 5, and behind it it's going to say sine. The instructions in the book tell you to find all 6 trig functions. You don't need to find all 6. You just need to find the one I named. You don't need to find all 6. So, that concludes our information.